Okay, let's get into it. So this week is going to be all about Noxus Reroll. This is patch 13.13 and is the C patch. And right now, Noxus, along with a couple other reroll comps, it's a reroll meta right now. These are taking over every game, and knowing how to play Noxus is super important. So let's get straight into it. Any big questions, please leave them for the end. But if you have anything pertaining to the slide at hand, feel free to unmute your mic or type in the Discord voice chat, and I'll get to you right away. Okay, so agenda for today, we'll talk about a little intro on what this Noxus trait is, what it provides, what units to play, and then we're going to dive deep into each stage and really define what you need to be doing each stage, what you need to be playing units wise, what to do with your gold, what to do with your items, and a couple of board examples so you know exactly what to play at what stage. And then after that, we'll go over some final tips of how to really maximize your Noxus comp, and then we'll leave 10 minutes for questions and answers and any reflection. Okay, so let's get into the intro. The main goal of Noxus is basically to finish your stacks, get 7 out of 7 Noxus stacks and 3-star 2 units, your Darius and your Katarina. These Noxus stacks, you get a stack every time you conquer a enemy Little Legend or conquer another player. That basically means just beat in combat. Once you beat in combat, you get a stack, or if this opponent is dead. And the way this works is there's 7 players, so there's 7 stacks. You have to defeat each unique different opponent to get 1 stack. So if you just somehow just keep beating the same person every time you face them but lose to everyone else, you'll stay at 1 stack. So that's the goal. And then every time you get a stack, you get an extra bonus of HP, ability power, and attack damage. You already get HP, attack damage, and ability power from having 3, 6, and 9 Noxus, but you'll get a 10% extra boost of this every time you get a Noxus stack. The next goal is basically you play 6 verticals, 6 Noxus, and then you add in either Juggernaut or Rogue, depending on who your main carry is. Right now, Darius is better than Katarina because he's more consistent, he's more reliable. Katarina, sometimes her Rogue fizzles, which means she doesn't jump to the backline. She just kind of fizzles there, which is, I think, a bug right now. And also, she's not very reliable and is not able to 1 versus 9. However, Darius is. So we're gonna prioritize Darius in this comp in regards of items and traits. Okay, and then if you have played previous sets, this is very similar to Warlord. I forget exactly which set it was, maybe 4.5, but Warlord is the same thing, health, ability, power, and damage, and then every time you get a unique win, you get an extra stack, and you get some of these bonuses as well. To make this emblem, it is just spatula plus belts, and we'll be talking about what to do if you have this emblem either from an augment or you're able to make it, who to drop, and who to play instead. So that's the intro of what Noxus is. Getting straight into stage 2, so we'll start on the left here. Basically, as I mentioned, you're going to be playing 6 Noxus, and 6 Noxus will go and play on stage 3-2. So what this means is you want to hold all your Noxus units from the start of the game up until 3-2, because on 3-2 you're just going to be playing all 6 Noxus anyway, and you want to have these 2 starts so then you get your wins for sure and start getting those extra stacks. I will mention that I don't think you should force this comp right from the start, hence why is the augments over here. If you get any of these augments on 2-1, as you can see, these stats are really high, so 3.6, 4.2, 4.1, 4.06, 4.03. Get any of these augments, they are very strong with Noxus, and this will give you direction right away, especially the first 3, Noxus Crown, Noxus Crest, and Total Domination. Each of these, well, this will give you a Crown, Darius, and IE. This will give you a Crest and Darius. And then Total Domination allows your Noxus units to execute at a certain percentage of health. So really good. Also, Idealism and Long Distance Pals are just really good for this comp. So if you get any of these, or you just have a really good Noxus start, then you should commit Noxus and start holding all your Noxus units. If you don't, then perhaps you just play a different comp, because it's not great to force everything if they're not meant to be. If you are going to play this, then on stage 2, try to play your strongest board with 3 Noxus and put your 80 items on Samira. So this can be Infinity Edge, this can be Hodge, and then if you don't have this, then it's okay. You will just play for Econ instead, and then hopefully on 3-2, you'll get your 6 Noxus in and start streaking from there. But it's very easy to play strongest board with 3 Noxus and Samira, and then have Irelia as your front line. That pairs Challenger, and then you can put your tank items or tank damage items such as like Sunfire Cape or Spark on the Irelia and streak from there. For stage 2, only slam items that are applicable for Darius, Katarina, or Swain. So what this means is, let's say, even though I say strongest board here, you have to keep in mind is 3 Noxus. So, and you're going to be playing Noxus. So if your strongest board is Last Whisper, don't slam it, because if you make Last Whisper, that kills the bow and the glove. And the bow is Titans for Darius, and the glove is Infinity Edge or JG. So although it is strongest board, try to play your strongest board and get those stacks. You don't want to kill your items, especially if it's for your main carries. And then a couple of these slams that are really good early game, and then who to play it on, and then you can swap it later. So Infinity Edge and Hodge, really good. You play this on Samir or Jhin early, and then you could transition them after. If you have Spark, it's going to be on Katarina. If you don't have Katarina yet, then play it on Irelia or Set. Last but not least, Titans. This will eventually go on Darius. If not, you play it on Irelia and Set. These are just examples. Irelia and Set are really good early. With Jhin, you can play 3 Ionia, and then you could also add in Zed or like a Katarina if you have that line for Rogue. But essentially these are the early game items you will slam, but just remember, don't make any items that will kill your main components for your main carries. So that's what you're going to do on stage 2. You'll hopefully, like ideally you try to 5 streak with Noxus, and you'll have already 5 stacks. If not, then your next point of action will be on 3-2. So on 3-1, right after Krugs, don't do anything, just econ up. Unless you have a lot of gold, then you could just level 6 and sit. If you are win streaking 5, then you could level to level 6 on 3-1 right after Krugs, and then play your board. But for most of your games, this is where you're going to make your next action. So on stage 3-2, this is going to be your board. So what you want to do, level 6. Level 6 on 3-2 is always the standard interval, so continue with this. And if you don't have this board already, you're going to roll for this board, because you want to have 6 out of 6 Noxus, 6 Noxus here. So roll for this board. If you have Darius or Katarina pair, just keep digging until you 2-star one of these. You don't have to 2-star both unless it's very, like, you have a lot of gold, because you're not going to try to send it to 0 or like donkey roll, especially if you have good items and are still able to win some rounds. As mentioned, try not to go too low. Definitely don't go to 0 gold if you don't have like any pairs. If you do have pairs, like multiple pairs, then you could send it, it's fine, but try not to go below 20 gold, because you will ideally want to be going level 7 on 4-1. So if you send it 0 and you have nothing, you will have a very hard time going level 7 on the next stage, and you'll be stuck on 6 with just 1 stars, and that's not great. So this is going to be your 6 Noxus board on 3-2, 80 items, so like IE, Hodge, Titans. This will go on Darius. You could also put BT on Darius. He just needs some form of healing, but I think Hodge is a lot better than BT. BT, like, it gives you a little bit more healing and your shield, but Hodge gives you more damage. And Darius, you're trying to like just one-shot each unit and like go from there. And then also if you have any healing augments like Harm Assist or like healing orbs, then you can also just definitely play a Hodge over BT, because you don't need that extra healing. AP items on Katarina, so like Spark, Jewel Gauntlet. I think go Spark first, because until Katarina is Katarina 2 with a bunch of items, or even Katarina 3, Spark is not a selfish item, so it'll help out the entire team, not just her damage. While Jewel Gauntlet is purely her damage, and if she dies early, you don't even have Rogan at this point, so she doesn't get that aggro drop, and she might just die. So save your rod for Spark. And then any tank or tank damage items on Swain, so this is like Sunfire Cape, it could be mostly just Sunfire Cape, because Spark you want to have on Katarina. If you have some other items like just dropped randomly, then and they don't fit on either Darius or Katarina, then you can just throw them on Swain. But this is going to be your board for stage 2. Prioritize Darius. So if you get Darius 2 with this board, you will most likely be able to like at least like 3 streak, maybe 4 streak, 5 streak with this board, if you have Darius items as well and Darius 2. And that's very good. So after this, you don't want to roll unless you're still sitting on like many pairs. Definitely don't roll after Carousel. So that is going to be 3-5 and 3-6. So that's right after Carousel. Don't roll, just sit. And then on 4-1, you will continue rolling. So 4-1 is going to be the next course of action, you're going to be leveling to 7, and then you will look at either your Darius, well, both, look at your Darius and your Katarina. Whichever is stronger, you play your next trait. So if you have a 3-item Darius, then you're going to be playing Juggernaut. So hopefully Nasus. If not, you could play Garen, you could play Set. But because Darius is going to be your main carry, you want to buff him up even more, so you want to play Juggernaut. And then vice versa, if you have 3-item Katarina but like 1-item Darius, then you want to play Zed instead, because not only will that give Slayer for Kled, it will give Katarina that Rogue. So just play along your strongest carry, even though Darius inherently is stronger than Katarina. You just have to play as it goes. So on the stage, after you level to 7, you need to roll until these 2 units are... You definitely need these 2 units to start at this point, and then hopefully also your Swain, also your Kled. These 2 don't matter too much. These 2 matter a lot, these 2 matter, and then these 2 don't. So that's how you need to think about it. But on level 7, you need to roll after to 2-star these units. And then after that, you just want to econ up, so don't roll anymore. Make your way up to 50 gold, and then slow roll for Darius 3 and Katarina 3. After you have 3-starred these 2 units, you can then push levels to 8, you can then push levels to 9, and try to win out from there. So that's what you do on 4-1. And then this could be your final board example. This is not final. This is probably like stage 5, maybe like early stage 6, because it could still get stronger than that. As I mentioned, after 3-starring both of these, on level 7, you can now start to push levels to 8, push levels to 9, and play your strongest board. Strongest board, technically, is you drop this, and where's the third one? Drop this. And then you just play 3 Noxus. So that is Darius, Katarina, a Zion, and then you play full legendary along with that. Because although like 6 Noxus, yes, is buffing up your main carries, if you have like 2-star Bel'Veth, 2-star Heimerdinger, 2-star Aatrox, 2-star Senna, 2-star Sion, these 2-star full legendaries will be better than a Samira, Kled, and Swain. So this is gonna be your final board. I remember after like I would say like after stage 4, especially after stage 5, if you have all your completed items, you could start looking for cheese items. So this is like your Zephyrs, your Shrouds, because late game, half a second is extremely important. So if you're able to delay by like half a second, 1 second, 2 seconds, that could change the course of the fight. Because late game, there's a lot more burst, and casts, being able to cast is a lot more important than early game, where it's mostly just DPS and long fights. Okay, so that is how to play each stage. Remember, this is going to be like your final board with these 2 3-starred, and then you just play around them, and then eventually drop everything for legendary. Some final tips for this board, or this composition in general. If you do have Noxus Emblem, so remember that is Spat plus Belt, you're able to drop one Noxus. In this case, I think Cassiopeia is the most useless. No offense, Cassiopeia, just because, or I guess this is Belt, is because Samira at least provides some sort of armor reduction. Cassiopeia provides health reduction, but it's only on 1, and she doesn't cast that often without mana. So I think Samira is better. So drop Cassiopeia, and then Noxus your Jarvan. This is, of course, once you find Jarvan. Before this, you could just Noxus any unit that is beneficial for your team. And then if Katarina and Kled are also carries, so what I mean by this is, let's say you get some sort of reroll augment, so like silver ticket, even golden ticket, and you're able to like 3-star your Kled, and then you're trying to 3-star your Katarina anyway, then you definitely play Zed over that Juggernaut on level 7, and to buff up Katarina and Kled instead of your Darius. And then remember, Katarina, you want to same side with the enemy carry, because the way her rogue trait works is, let's say that this is the enemy, and then the board is split in half. Oops, there we go. Board is split in half. If you have your cat here, after she takes enough damage for her rogue to activate, she'll jump straight to the back, and then use her ability and hopefully one-shot the enemy. But if she is on the other side, let's say on the right side, and the main carry is on the far left, after she takes enough damage, she'll jump back here and kill this unit, but the enemy will start attacking. Well, that's very curvy. The enemy will start attacking her. So you make sure that your Katarina is the same side as the enemy carry. Okay, that is everything for today's class. I'll quickly just revamp or like re-go over everything. So we just talked about an intro, what to do for each stage, and then final tips for this. Remember, your goal is try to get 707 stacks. So either killing killing, that sounds violent. Either beating each unique enemy in your game, getting 7 out of 7 stacks, and 3-starring your Darius and your Katarina. Your goal is to play 6 Noxus, especially on 3-2, and then buff them up on 7 and 8. Darius is better than Katarina in a vacuum. Stage 2, look for these augments: Noxus Crown, Noxus Crest, Total Domination. These are insta-takes, and then you just play from there. Idealism is also really good, and Long Distance Pals is also really good. You have to play this board on 3-2 and start getting your stacks. Every round you win, you will be getting stronger. So make sure that you definitely win. I would say like it's even fine to go to like 10 gold, but basically if you get a pair, then keep rolling. If you don't have a pair and your board is not that great and you don't have that much gold, it's fine to sack a couple of rounds and then really send it. But basically you need to 2-star these 2 units without spending too much gold. 4-1, you're going to be stuck on level 7 for a while, but it's like you're going to be slow rolling at this, and then you want to try to get Darius and Katarina 3. Final board, 6 Noxus plus extra units to buff them up. Eventually you'll drop the 3 bad Noxus units and just play legendaries, but hopefully by then you will have won. And then final tips, as I mentioned: Noxus Emblem, Zed over Juggernaut if Kled is also a carry, and then Katarina same side. So that's everything for today. The Noxus composition is really good. It's taking over a ladder, especially in high elo, and it's a reroll comp. So the reroll comps are all very prevalent in today's meta, and that's good for all rerollers because that means no one spikes immediately, and as everyone's still trying to get their composition together slowly. So that's everything for me. Thanks everyone for coming, and we can now enter our Q&A.